Do I have the infamous Kent-Axell on the phone with me?
Yeah, that's me.
And you're a magician and a mentalist.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what they say.
All right, so you primarily perform in Nevada, though, in Las Vegas?
Yeah, actually. So I have a residency here in Vegas called Ghost Stories, and it's sort of a spooky mind reading show. But I also tour with a show that I do called The Mind Reader.
Okay. All right. So how long have you been performing, and how long have you been a magician?
Oh man, I've been a magician for 30 years or so.
Okay.
But if I'm being honest, it's never the amount of time someone's been doing something. It's that can tend to be a signifier, but you can be performing magic for 5 years and be one of the best because it's about other things. A lot of people become magicians because they like collecting secrets and they like other things. But if you're performing on stage, that is the thing that normally gets you the experience you need to put on a good show.
Okay, well, you had to have, and I'm always curious about this, and I always ask how you got started in this. Have you ever done anything else?
Oh, no, I did work. I did work retail when I was starting out, on my own, but it was actually retail in a magic shop, so that's kind of fun. I've always sort of been in this business. My first job was as a dishwasher, but I got out of that pretty quick. I went to school for performing arts, and so I started doing magic for a living when I was about 21, 22. And then, prior to that, I became a magician when I was about 9 or 10 years old. One of my uncles showed me something just incredible, and I just had to replicate it. And I came to the next family reunion with like 6 hours worth of material. Now, it wasn't all good material, but it was material. He showed me. Picture this. He showed me a coin, and he had me mark the coin with a knife. I don't know why he had me mark it with a knife. He gave me a box cutter at like 9 years old. There were Sharpies in existence, I'm pretty sure, but he had me mark it with a knife. And then he took that coin, and there wasn't much finesse about it. He just took the coin and put it in his pocket, and immediately he removed from his pocket a matchbox. And the matchbox was all wrapped up with rubber bands. And inside that matchbox was another matchbox, also wrapped up with rubber bands, like a smaller one. Mm-hmm. And inside that was this little sack, this little bag, which had a rubber band around the top of it. And impossibly, inside that little bag, which was inside 2 matchboxes, was my coin that was signed. Yeah, it was incredible. So, Cool K, tell me about what you do. I mean, here, give yourself a little self-promotion here. Help me out, too.
Oh, well, I am Cool K and Countyfairgrounds.net, and I've been interviewing a lot of entertainers and doing a lot of things since, I think, 2010. I've interviewed a lot of people.
Yeah?
And,
Well, you just did my friend Michael Aslan, right?
Yes, I did a little while ago.
Another Vegas performer. I watched his interview with you. It was pretty cool.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, one of the reasons I always ask that question is how you got started is because people listen to me. I have a lot of followers, and people have ambitions about being entertainers. And they always wonder how you guys got started. Okay.
Well, the story I often find when I'm learning about other people's stories, I get more information than when I'm learning about sort of advice that they have. So often people don't even recognize how they got where they are. My personal trajectory, and the thing is, if there are other entertainers listening to this, it's a good idea to reach out to the people who are doing what you want to do. I mean, if I didn't have a Las Vegas show and I was just a good magician and you wanted a Vegas show, I might be able to help you be a good magician, but I probably can't really help you get a Vegas show. And so it's less about, how you got started in the art form and more about, what is the story? And oftentimes people don't even know the accurate story, like I can say, pounding the pavement and working hard, but what the truth is? I have a lot of good information about how to get a Vegas show. I was just speaking about this actually on the magician's page recently. And I've got good information on this, but the real deal is that I had a gig salad page. And the owner of the space that I'm currently in was looking for a magic act to go into his gigs, to go into his a space that he has adjacent to the bar that he owns. And he found me on Gig Salad. And that is not advice on how to get a Vegas show, but that is how I got a Vegas show. Now, on top of that, I was, yeah, exactly. And now, on top of that, I was good. I had good materials, like good marketing materials, and good, I was a good performer. And if anyone wants, any advice on how to be a good performer and all that stuff, I've got a bunch of resources for that. But one of the things most magicians think they don't need to improve in that way already. So it's sometimes it's a non-starter. But yeah, the actual story for getting a Vegas show for me is I had a Gig Salad page, effectively entertainers Craigslist. It was crazy.
Okay. All right. Well, but you do some things that a lot of magicians sort of specialize. And your website says you're a speaker, so I know you give lectures. Mind reader and deceiver, you want to explain that, please?
Yeah, well, so mind reader is, that's referring to mentalism, which is another form of magic. And magic, of course, like the deception art. And, when I say mind reader, what I mean is that I appear to read minds on stage. Now, I use deception and magic tricks to do that. And a lot of people in my field are really happy to leave the audience sort of misunderstanding what that means. They want them to think that, maybe they're really psychic, or maybe they're really like a psychological expert, like a Sherlock Holmes type character or something like that. Mm-hmm. I personally find that unethical because that's like a very, very straightforward lie. And, we all struggle with like where our thresholds are on that stuff. But personally, the reason that I include deceiver in there is because that's ultimately what all of the stuff under the magic heading is, right? It's all deception. And I think my, mentalism is a form of deception, of course, form of mind reading, a form of magic. And it uses magic tricks. There's very little. A lot of mentalists are very keen to have their audiences think they're using some kind of like supra psychological thing. That's when the real secrets are they're simultaneously much simpler and much more complex than that.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't want people getting the wrong idea. So that's why I include deceiver. And that applies just as much to the show that I currently do in Vegas, which is like a spooky show. It's a seance show, effectively. And when people come to this show, they get a very spooky experience. We sometimes have people reporting seeing ghosts in the room. And it's not that might be a psychological effect that the things we're actually doing in the room are having on the person. But ultimately, whatever happens in the room is carefully orchestrated and is a deception meant to bring up, meant to create a certain emotional experience for the audience. And
Mr. Kent, you're telling me that you don't believe in ghosts?
Oh no, I don't. No. Which is funny. That's one of the lines I use in the show. I say, do you believe in ghosts? And they say, whatever they say, I say, I don't, but I'm still scared of them.
Hey, listen, I've had some magicians that I've interviewed tell me that they do believe in ghosts. Okay.
I believe it. I believe it. That's not related to whether or not you know card tricks.
Okay.
Now, and I want people to understand, like, this is a little bit more of a philosophical claim, but saying I don't believe in ghosts is not the same as saying I believe ghosts don't exist. Do you understand do you see the difference?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I sense some hesitation, so I'm not sure you actually see the difference.
Well, you magicians, and I've interviewed a lot of you, and I've interviewed a lot of you famous magicians.
Yeah.
You all come at this from a little bit of a different way. But one of the things that I've always found to admire, I mean, it's hard to get a show together and actually make a living doing this, I think, and to get kind of known like you are. So, not all of you guys succeed, so you've got to have something going for you.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I don't really consider myself known, but I really like doing the work, and if some kind of like knownness comes from that, then that's really great. I just want to I don't want to slip by, in case people are listening and in case they're interested. I don't want to slip by that last point that I made or that last question I asked, because it's like if you consider, like, let's say you're inside your house and the question is, and you can't leave, right? And the question is, do you believe that there is a hot air balloon floating above your home?
Okay.
Now, there's no way for you to actually know that. Like, let's just assume in the hypothetical, you can't contact people outside. They can't look up above your house or whatever. Let's just,
right.
Or, it could be a closed, let's say you just have a little treasure chest that you can't open, but the claim is that there is a red ball inside the treasure chest. Now, whether you can believe that statement positively without the evidence to back it up, and you could do that. But you could also say, I don't currently hold the belief that there is a hot air balloon over my house, or that there is a red ball in the chest. And that's kind of where I stand on ghosts. And now, and all sort of spiritual, supernatural things. Now, the claim that's further is to say, I believe that there is not a hot air balloon over my house, or I believe that there is not a red ball in the chest. Does that make sense? So, like, saying you haven't been convinced that there is a ball in the chest is different than saying you are convinced that there is not a ball in the chest. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense
that's kind of where I stand on the ghost thing. But I know that everything that I'm doing in the show is deception. It's so funny because when somebody came up to me once after the show and said, there's more going on in that room than even you know. And I was like, that's probably true. But I mean, that might be true, but I'm pretty sure that there's more going on in that room than you know.
Yeah, depends on who you ask.
Right. Well, I'm the magician. I'm the one that set the whole thing up. So I'm actually pretty sure I'm more qualified to answer that question than she was. But it was just a funny moment.
Okay, so I see on your website it says Ghost Stories is Seeing, Really Believing. So do you do a hell of a good Halloween show?
Well, yeah, that's the show. And notice actually the LIE in the word believing is highlighted. That's an old magician trope, but yeah, that is pointing to the deceptive nature of the show. But yeah, it's a very spooky show. It's a great show for Halloween. Counterintuitively, we get a lot. We do well in the spooky season, but we get a lot more. We get a lot of tickets around like November, or last year we did. I mean, this year we're actually tending to sell out. So if people are interested in coming to the show, they can definitely contact me, or they can just look on the website for the 1923. I'm sure you'll put information links below the. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So. I see up here that you said you do trade shows and you do different places besides Las Vegas. Where else have you performed?
Oh, for sure. Like I travel with a mind reading show, and it's called The Mind Reader, and it has a very straightforward title. But I travel all over the U.S. I've done a couple of shows of The Mind Reader in Canada, I intend to go international at some point with it. But yeah, I travel all over. Right now I've got a tour planned for July that's bringing me on a fairly straight path from Maine back to Las Vegas.
Okay. All right. Where would you like to perform? You haven't had a chance.
Oh, that's a great question. There are so many beautiful theaters and spaces. You know, I mean, there's not like one in particular that I am interested in. I think, it's really hard to say. Like, I just love performing in old opera houses. I love performing in like bigger theaters. You know, right now the sweet spot for me is about 500 to 600 seats for a theater. But I've performed with the Champions of Magic show way back in what was it? It was January? Yeah. It was December of last year. We performed in a 3,200 seat stadium or massive performing arts center in Toronto, and that was amazing.
Okay.
Love that. Yeah. On stage is my place.
Have you been overseas performing?
I haven't performed overseas, but I have. But yeah, like I said, I've stayed in the U.S. and Canada. I mean, I've performed like close-up magic and stuff overseas, but not like full-on shows.
Okay, all right. Well, I think part of the magic thing is you have a nice spooky theater. It all kinds of goes together.
Yeah, of course. That's definitely all. It's definitely all interacting with all the bits of the business.
Okay, but ghost stories. How did you get into ghosts?
Well, Halloween is year-round. I've always been fascinated with the occult and the esoteric, and all those things really interest me. Like I said before, I'm not really a believer in any of that stuff, but I do find it fascinating.
Mm-hmm. You know who Michael Mesmer is?
Yes. Yeah.
I've interviewed him.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and
do.
He believes in ghosts, dear.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of people do.
Okay.
Whether or not they're objectively justified in believing that's a different story. A stray cat has just arrived outside my house. I'm about to give it some food.
That's good. I like that.
Okay. So we're doing this while.
Yeah.
This is
Okay, and it says you've been on Brain Games. What is Brain Games?
So Brain Games is a show that I consulted with back several years back, and they were there. I mean, a lot of your viewers would probably have heard of it. It was a rather popular show about sort of psychology and different sort of tricks. Different like mind tricks. I mean, it's all in the name, Brain Games. One of the featured performers that was actually on screen was Apollo Robbins, the wonderful pickpocket performer. He's a really great performer himself. And a lot of magicians actually can work behind the scenes at Brain Games. They're a very amazing company, very amazing show. A couple of guys produced it. Same guys that produced Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and it is another show recently that was like Brain Games, but it was for kids. Really great project. Okay,
all right. It says you do trade shows too.
Yeah, so trade shows. Well, the long and short of it with trade shows is that we're trying to get as many people to the booth as possible. So when I'm doing a trade show, I'm not obviously doing like the spooky stuff. I'm doing more sort of pop mentalism and regular mind reading. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'll be outside the booth and try to draw people into the booth. It's a great time.
So are you a good mind reader, Mr. Kent?
Well, I certainly look that way when I'm on stage.
Well, that's good, I guess.
But I find it very important to differentiate the entertainment experience of being in a room with a mind reader that I've put together and differentiate that from, you know, the real life, you know.
One of the things I always ask my entertainers, and I'm always curious, I get different answers about this. Are you a married man?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. So you have.
Why,
a lot
are you
of
interested? Are you cool, Kay? What are you doing? On the air and everything.
Hey, I talk to a lot of entertainers, dear, all year long.
So you're trying to build up a roster.
Well, the thing of it is, a lot of families, and it's really interesting to hear a lot of the entertainers, they talk about their families, and a lot of the families are involved in what the entertainer does, and you know, sometimes it's a dual thing for the whole family. Other times it causes problems, and you know, it's always interesting really to hear if you have children, what the children think of you and stuff like that. So that's why.
Well, okay. So this is interesting, though. I am actually dating another magician named Holly
cool.
England. Yeah, she does a wonderful. Yeah, she does a show called Late Night Magic over at the Orleans. Wonderful, wonderful show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, anyone who comes to Vegas should come and see Late Night Magic after they've seen Ghost Stories, of course.
How long is your show?
Ghost Stories runs about an hour and a half for the full experience. There's about a 5-minute intermission.
How many days a week do you do it?
4 days a week, 6 shows.
Okay, all right. And you're in what location again? It's
at the Mandalay Bay at the 1923 Speakeasy, the Mandalay Bay location.
Okay, all right. So how long have you been there? I'm curious.
Oh, a little over a year now.
Okay, all right. Well, are you planning on staying there for a while?
Oh, I have no intention of moving whatsoever. I love doing the show. I'm working in the background on some other stuff. You know, I tour once in a while with the Mind Reader, and I'm working on getting some friends and some other good shows into locations at 1923 and also around town. We're experimenting with doing some other shows. So definitely anyone that hears this can reach out to me. They can find out what kind of projects I'm currently working on. If they want to come and see the show, they just have to reach out to me, and I'll send them the info.
And you do trade shows, it says on your website.
Yeah, we already spoke about the trade shows. You remember?
Yeah. No.
that was when you were trying to add me to your list of people to date, I think.
Hey, listen, there's a lot of people I could probably date across the country that I've interviewed.
All I'm saying is I'm interested, but I'm not available.
Yes, okay. All right, well, if somebody wants to book you, how would they reach you?
Oh, they could reach me directly through my website, kent-axell.com. That's got, or it's kent-axell@gmail.com is my email address. They're welcome to reach out to me there.
Yeah. You know, my phone, everybody knows who I am across the country. I mean, I've been up since 1998, so I get phone calls from the whole stinking country. So a lot of the entertainers don't post their phone numbers and emails anymore. That's and I can't blame them. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they're more than welcome. People are more than welcome to reach out to me directly. Whether I get back to you, you know, in a timely fashion or not, that's a different story. But
hey,
I am open.
So how's the cat?
Oh, the cat. So the cat is eating. The cat appears to be fed. It might have gotten lost or something. So we're getting it some food, and yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
Okay. All right. Well,
maybe we'll have to do a follow-up interview, and I can tell you all about the cat.
Okay. So, is there anything else you want to add? We got your website, and it'll be posted with your interview, and so your contact information should be on there. Is there anything else you want to add before we close?
No, I'm so thrilled that we got a chance to speak, though.
Okay. I've enjoyed talking to you, and we'll get this up, and hopefully it'll help you out and get you some attention. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Kent. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. Cool, Kay. All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.